Hello, my name is Darrick Fuentes. For my final project, I decided to do a horse race game. The program is simulating a horse race by creating 4 horse class objects with unique lucky numbers that move along a track. The user inputs their horse's name and lucky number. Each round or loop iteration, every horse moves 1 pace ahead. If their lucky number matches their random number that changes with each round, they move ahead an extra pace. The game ends when the end of the track is reached, and if you win, you get a prize. So let's go ahead and demo this. All right. I've been naming my horse Melanie. It's been very lucky for me. And it says choose your lucky number. My lucky number is 8, but it has to be between 1 and 6. So I'll go with 4 because that's half of 8. And so the game starts. The zeros represent where the individual horses are on the track. The user horse is at the top with the name that they chose. And we're just trying to get to the end of the race here. And it looks like we're not going to win. All right, so sorry, Melanie lost the race. We get no prize. Press any key to continue. Just in case I did save the prize, it would have been this if we won, but we didn't, so we get a whole lot of nothing. All right, so going through our actual code, at the top we have our horse class. Within it, we have a string for the name of the horse, an integer for the lucky number, another integer for the place, which we actually use within our track array, our track character array, which together help draw out the track for us. So that way we can show the user a visual representation of where their horses are. Now, for the constructor, we're taking the name of the horse and the lucky number, because every game that's going to change for the user horse, and the lucky number is always going to change for the default horses. And we use these arguments to set those, and then we set place just to 0, because everyone should be starting at 0 anyway. So we have our methods here. This one is move place. It just moves place up once. This happens every round. It's going to update the horse position. It's kind of part of the backbone of the game. Set track. This is what we are using to kind of redraw the track each time, because we want the 0, which is the horse position, to move up, but we don't want a bunch of trailing zeros behind it. It's not like a progress bar. We want to kind of show where the horse is, so we redraw the whole track as dashes, and then we populate where the horse actually is with a 0 every time, just as often as we move or update the horse's position. And check lucky right here. This is us checking the new random number within the actual game that changes every round. We are taking that as an argument, and we're comparing it to the individual horse's lucky number. And if it matches, we're going to go ahead and move them up an extra pace. So it's kind of the same as this, but it takes an argument and does a comparison. Check win. This, we also check every single time just to make sure that we're not going on with the game too long. Once this is true, we're pretty much going to break out of our loop that makes our game. So in our main, we have a string for storing the horse's name. The user inputted a horse's name. These different integer variables to store and distribute the horse numbers. I have these variables because it's always changing. We're using this for our individual horse's win condition later. And this is our random number generator that we use every single round. So that way the lucky number that we're looking for is constantly changing. Our stream writer, this is what creates our prize if the user wins. We're just initializing it here. And so we're asking for from the user for what they want to name their horse. So they put it in, and we then ask for their horse's lucky number. And right here, we're going to check, we're going to do some input validation because, again, it's important that the number is within those certain ranges, or well, within the range of 1 and 6. The next little block of code, these few lines here, this is where we are assigning non-predetermined numbers using the random function for the other horses. I didn't want them all to just be the same every time. I thought this would have worked out a little better, so that way the game could be changing a little more each time. But basically, we use an integer variable, and we save a number within our range, and then we compare it with the number that the user selected, which is in num. And if it matches, then we're going to have to assign a new number until we get one that doesn't match. And the other statements below are the same thing, but we're just doing more comparisons. Once we've found a number for for N1, we're going to have to find a number that doesn't match N1 and doesn't match the user number, and then so on. At this point, we are actually initializing our horse objects, and we're using the constructor to take 2 arguments each. For my horse, which is the user horse, we're taking this variable string, which we populated with their desired name and then their desired number for the integer variable. For the other ones, we're just using predetermined names, but the numbers are always changing. That's why we did this, all these little statements up here. All right, so before actually starting the game, we're going to go ahead and draw out the track. So we're calling the horse's name, so that way we can display that above each track, so that way it's not so confusing. And we are just outputting the straight contents of the array, with a little space between. We're accessing that through the individual objects. And then we're going to go ahead and have a little pause at the end before actually starting the game. We're running the game through a for loop, 29 paces, this would result in about 29 rounds. That is going to be more than enough to actually get to the end. It will almost always break out once a horse is won. And right here, we're just drawing something just that way it can look a little nicer. We are using the iterative I up here, +1, to update constantly. And within the game, how it actually works, we're going to every horse, every individual horse, and we're moving their place, their default 1 pace each round. We're checking the lucky number. If it matches, then they're getting up an extra pace. We're calling set track, which is going to update what their track looks like within that array, within the class. And then we're checking if they won. Num right here is set with a new random number every round. So only one horse should ever get the extra pace per round. And here's where we use our Boolean variable. We're setting it to true. This is what, if our horse wins. That's why the other ones do not have that. It's by default, it's set to false. If our horse wins, we're going to let the user know that they won. Otherwise, we're just going to let them know that they lost, if this never happens here. But regardless, if any of the horses win, we're going to go ahead and break out of the loop. Right here within the loop, after we've updated everyone, if no one actually wins yet, then we are going to redraw the track. So that way it's constantly updating. When someone actually does win, it's going to skip this block of code. So it will not print out the final shot of the track. So right outside of the loop, we have the same code just to draw it out. And if the user won, then we're going to inform them that congratulations, their horse's name won the race. Please print out prize.txt and take it to the booth to claim your prize. This is what we're writing into the text file every time they win. Otherwise, we're letting them know that sorry they lost the race. We're then closing our stream writer, and that's the end of the game. Thank you.